Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Today we are staying at the Vinpearl Beachfront Nha Trang here in Vietnam. And I want to give you guys a tour of this room and of this property. And you heard right, I am going to show you the room first. And then I will show you the pool. There is also a restaurant downstairs. And I'm trying to think what else. Also, I think there's a gym as well, and there is a spa. So we'll go down and take a look at those. And then I'm going to show you the gorgeous views of this incredible property. So we're going to start right here is the front door where you come in, and you do have to have the correct key card for this panel for your power, just so you know. We already tried it out, did not work. The bathroom door has got a mirror on it. As you can see, right when you walk into the bathroom, you've got your commode, you've got your sink here. Not a huge space on the sink, but it'll do. But you do have some space underneath here, and then a shower, no tub, but there is a handheld and then just a regular. They do have shampoo, conditioner, and body wash, so we are happy about that. So the bathroom looks pretty good. Then come out and you go into this, so you've got like a little luggage area. Of course, you're in Asia, so you're going to get that scale luggage rack here. And then you've got a little table where you can sit and eat. We'll go out and take a look at the balcony here in just a moment, but you have a mini kitchenette here. Basically the two hobs, and you've got your cupboards, the fan, and then you've got a mini fridge inside right here. So plenty of space. Now, we did stay at a different property here in Nha Trang as well that also had a kitchen. It had a bigger kitchen, the Intercontinental Residences. Make sure you check out that review here as well. But we did, when we got to the room, there was nothing in it. And we had to ask them for them. They don't just put it in, because I think it's a lot of trouble to have enough for every single room. It gets really expensive, so they only do it by request to your room. So we will be doing that. We haven't done it yet, but we will be doing that. We did it at the other property. Actually, we also stayed at the Wyndham Garden Cam Ranh, and we had to do the same thing there as well. So let's continue this tour. Here's your little kitchen area. It's pretty nice. It's got everything that you need right there. So let's go out here on this balcony. As you can see, there's a drying rack. There is no washer in this room. There's your drying rack. Look at this gorgeous view. It's beautiful. You've got your two chairs here and the table, but can we just have a moment? And wow. So the other Vinpearl, this is across the island here. You'll see the words Vinpearl. You probably can't see it in this video, but the words Vinpearl are into the wall of the mountain there. There's also a small cruise ship out here today as well. I haven't seen that before. That looks pretty cool. And then this little island, you could ride the gondolas across the water from this side to that side and go explore. There's a whole fun area over there, but this is stunning views. And down here, they do have a beach area where you get the towels and the actual beach chairs for free, so you can go down there and check that out as well. So let's go back inside, see if we can get this curtain back in. Okay, back in here. And we're going to take a look at the rest of this. So this view starts here. It's about a 180-degree view, it looks like. And then you get over here. There's a TV here, but look at this. The view continues over here, all the way down the beach, all the way down there. This is going to be really beautiful at night, too. So this is what, you come from the kitchen area, and this is what it looks like in this part here. So let's dive into it. This little living room area looks super comfortable. You've got your chairs, which we tried out, and they are very comfortable. We've stayed at Vinpearl before, and one thing we did notice is they do take the time and energy to get something nice. And these are always going to be really comfortable. A nice TV, the V-Smart TV, probably made by the Vin company, which makes a lot of things. And look at the rest of these views. Absolutely beautiful. Oh my goodness. Now on this side, we're in a corner room. So on this side, as you can see, the sun is coming through. So we are going to pull the shears across. but I think it's going to be nice and pretty quiet. Some of the other ones we've stayed at are a little bit noisy, but you can kind of tell, you can hear a little bit from down below, but it doesn't sound too awfully loud. Let's take a look. This looks like a proper king size bed, which is very exciting. I love a good full king size bed. And then over here, we've got, I don't know what this does. 1, 2, 3. Not really sure. Maybe it has something to do with the lights. Flashlight. And a little drawer right there. Like I said, the bed looks pretty good. Fairly standard for Asia. Nice desk area. And then the other nightstand here, you control it. Looks like the air from here. It looks like they've got the universal adapter outlets, as well as a couple of USBs and the lights and a phone. And then if you've ever stayed at a Vinpearl before, you recognize these gorgeous robes. I love these. First time I stayed in a Vinpearl was in Ha Long, and they had these, and I was like, okay, I really like these. I was like, I would like to keep this, but I'm not really a robe person. But when I stay at the Vinpearl, I am a robe person. And then here you've got some drawers, the safe, and some shelves. So this is a pretty nice room. We did get the bigger of the studios. I think it's the Grand Ocean View room. I'll tell you more about that at the end when I do my review. But we did try the restaurant out at lunch because we got here a little bit early for check-in. So we had lunch there while we waited for our room to be ready. And she was worth the wait because look at how beautiful this is. These views are going to be great. We're staying here for a full week, so we'll really try everything out, and I'll put everything to the test for you so that you're able to easily decide where you would like to stay if you're coming to Nha Trang. So let's go take a look at the pool and the gym and the spa, and then I'll be giving you my review in just a moment. All right, guys, we are on floor 6, and here you see the ballroom. And then right next to it is Vincharm Spa, right here, which is obviously the spa. They do have a steam room in here also, and you get 30 free minutes in there every day. I guess you have 30 minutes in there. Kids room in here, and then the fitness center is all the way at the end of the hall down here. It looks like a pretty decent sized fitness center. There's also a clinic, which I've noticed they have those at all of the Vinpearls. They do have a clinic as well. But the gym looks like a pretty decent size here. Plenty of treadmills and equipment. And then the pool is over here on the other side. So this is all on the 6th floor, half and half. There's a little terrace cafe here. Looks like it has some pretty nice views. And then looks like they man this pool pretty good too. Looks like a lot of kids out here, little bar area, ice cream, and all kinds of stuff. Pretty good sized pool. Looks like a big one over there. And then most of the kids seem to be in this one over here. So pretty good area. Covered pretty good. So I'll give you guys my review in just a little bit. Let's jump right into the numbers here for the Vinpearl. So the location on the map looks like it is ideal, and there are tons of things really close to the hotel, which is great. And of course, it's right across the street from the beach. But there are also nightclubs across said street on the beach, and those will come to play in, we'll talk about those later when we get a little bit further down into the scores here. So 8 out of 10 for location. Cleanliness, it was clean for the most part. I did run into puddles several times in the elevators or piles of sand in a few spots as well. I did see the staff working on it, but I think there were so many people at this hotel. It was so crowded that it was really, I'm sure it was really challenging for them to stay on top of that. 9 out of 10. You could see them working on it, but they could not keep up with the influx of people coming constantly from the beach back over to the hotel. Amenities, 17 out of 20 for this one. The gym was actually pretty decent, very good size gym, but the pool was not the greatest offering. And they did have the spa. The pricing was actually pretty high for the spa as opposed to what you could get locally, just walking out and getting a massage in one of the nice massage shops, not very far from the hotel. So 17 out of 20 for that one. Next one is the service. We're going to give this one a 7 out of 10. One of the reasons being that when you get to the hotel, it's got an enormous lobby, enormous front desk, and they had tons of people working. You could tell they were a bit frazzled trying to get everybody checked in. But the problem was that a lot of the people, almost all of the people working at the front desk were all trainees. And there weren't people with each of those trainees. So that made it very challenging, I'm sure, for them trying to get people checked in. There were a lot of people who were, upset about what was going on and this and that. We were there a little bit early, so we got all of our documentation taken care of. They told us, kind of hang out until I think we had like an hour and a half or two to kill before they could get us checked in. They said come back at this time. And, when we did come back, they did have the room ready, which was great, but they were pretty frazzled and it did seem a little bit disorganized. So service, 8 out of 10 there. Lounge, going to give this one, okay, so if a hotel doesn't have a lounge, but they offer us breakfast, we usually give them a 7 out of 10. Now, if the hotel does not have a lounge and we don't have lounge access or anything like that, I just give it a 5 out of 10 just as a filler, but that's not for anything that they earned for that. I don't even know if the hotel had a lounge, but we don't have status at Vinpearl, even though we've stayed at them before, but we don't have status at Vinpearl. So 5 out of 10, but that's just a filler. That's not something that they kind of earned. Same thing with elite recognition. We don't have status there, so 5 is just a filler so that the score doesn't drop, insanely because of not having zeros in those spots. Next one, value. It was a good deal. We did pay, obviously, cash for this, and it was a good deal for what we were getting. So it was actually, not too shabby. So I'm going to give this one a 10 out of 10 for the value. Next one, sleep environment. So this is where we're going to talk about those nightclubs. Nha Trang has a lot of nightclubs, and they are basically all, I'm sure there's some in the city parts too, but it felt like all of them were lined up on the beach right there across from all of the hotels that were along the beach. This hotel was no exception. There was a nightclub directly across the street, and you could see also where they would set up special events with DJs and stuff, pumping loud music, are you ready? That kind of thing. I thought if I hear that one more time, I might lose my mind. And again, these start at like 10 p.m. start. So they go for a while with the loud pumping music. And it felt like the windows, I think this is an older property, felt like the windows were really, really thin. So you could hear everything. You could hear the cars honking, which if you've been to Nha Trang, there's a ton of honking there. They basically don't feel like they don't have a lot of street lights. So it's just honking is the way that they get around, that they use for communicating with each other. Unfortunately, you hear all of that up in your room as well as the clubbing across the street. So 6 out of 10 for sleep environment. The shades, the darkening shades were actually really good, which was great because you're kind of exposed, had great views, and had, but on one side, it was basically we had to keep those closed during the day because the sun was so heavy and so bright. But those shades really helped to keep the room cool when we kept them closed on just the one side. Overall experience, 7 out of 10. It was a little bit frustrating that they did not allow you to cook in the unit, even though it's sold as a condotel, an apart hotel. We had stayed at one like this before in Nha Trang at the Intercontinental Residences. I did a video on that one here as well, where we could use everything. They provided, the pots and pans and plates and everything for us. However, at the Vinpearl, you did not have access to any of it. They turned off power and everything to the hob, so you couldn't use that. The fridge was, you know, a teeny tiny thing, so you couldn't do anything. No hot plate, no nothing. Basically just the kettle and the refrigerator and a sink, which was not super helpful. So that was a little bit frustrating, and you don't know that until you get there and try to use it. And then they tell you, I'm sorry, you can't use it. So that was frustrating. So the overall experience was not that great, 7 out of 10 for this hotel. One of the lowest rated hotels that we've done in a while. We really had great expectations for this one because we've had great experiences at Vinpearl before. However, this particular one, a 74 out of 100. So not a great showing for this particular Vinpearl property. But we have another Vinpearl property coming up in a different area of Vietnam. So hopefully that one is going to be considerably better. I think it is. So guys, hopefully this answers your questions if you're trying to decide to stay at this particular property. If you have other questions that have been answered, leave those down in the comment section. Guys, hopefully it was helpful. I'll see you guys next time.